Rudy Fernandez, la superestrella que se convirtió en Dios en Vitoria.
Rodolfo Fernandez, aka Rudy Fernandez, born April 4th, 1985. The most difficult aspect of potential is when it doesn't meet expectations. In basketball, expectation can be the most cruel thing because it doesn't take into context things like teammates, organization, coaching, scheme, and timing. If the player in the end falls under what was expected of him for some time, he's labeled a bust and typecasted into the role of one. That means less opportunity to show he's not that and maybe just needed a different situation he can flourish in. Easier said than done, because then you have to factor in the confidence the player still has after being traded to a different team with even more expectation and a shorter time to prove themselves. This was basically Rudy Fernandez's career in the NBA. Before then, he was everything in the Spanish and Euro leagues, winning numerous MVPs and championships. Rudy in Spain wasn't just one of the guys. He had a game seemingly tailor-made for the NBA because unlike what you'd expect from a European player, Fernandez was just as or more athletic than anyone in his 2007 NBA draft class. Pre-NBA Rudy Fernandez was known for his high-flying one-foot takeoffs and finishes, catching backdoor lobs in the blink of an eye, taking no prisoners no matter how tall, their ethnicity, or prior world background. Before the 2007 draft, many called him the Spanish Jordan. Not to be taken too seriously because as history has shown, any European player with some hops and high-flying moves, they always use him as the torchbearer for the name the next Jordan, or fill in the blank is the fill in the blank Jordan. But I can't lie, of every single European player I've been aware of in my lifetime watching basketball, Rudy Fernandez was one I really thought had a chance to be a great player and transport in the NBA. Why? Because he had three things important to being one. He could shoot like dead-eye shooter with a quick release and confidence to take the biggest shot from wherever. He was athletic, which no matter who you are will always be of value in sports, and the elite in any situation has a chance to survive and even be good on that level. Fernandez wasn't just alright athletically, he was one of the best in the world at the time, and one of the most explosive, believe it or not. And lastly, he had killer. He wasn't just skilled but nice like Tony Parker or a gentleman like JJ Barea. No, he was more like Dirk Nowitzki, Manu Ginobili, or Luka Doncic. Those competitors that hate to lose and want to step on their opponent's necks while they're down. He was confident, charismatic, a winner, team or individually in his country, so great marketing tool for the NBA to reach new markets or enhance their influence in prior ones, making Rudy's potential through the roof. No one could guess he'd only last 4 years in the league after being a first-round pick and expectations to be the next great European star. What happened to Rudy's potential? Let's talk about it. Salute to my man Swag4Press for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Rudy Fernandez was a 6'5" shooting guard from Palma de la Mallorca, Spain, and like many European players, began with football or soccer, as Americans say, as his first love. But he couldn't not be a basketball player in the house he grew up. Both his parents basketball players and his older sister a professional in Spain and in the WNBA. Early on, Rudy was marked by handlers to be the next Eurostar transit to the league. At 19, he was added to the Olympic squad for the Athens Olympics in 2004, where they faced the US Redeem team, and Rudy made his name and expectations rise by posterizing Dwight Howard, one of the most feared young defensive talents in the NBA at the time. The Phoenix Suns took him 24th overall in 2007 and then traded him for James Jones and cash to the Trailblazers. After buying out his Spanish league contract, Rudy finally made his debut in the league a year later in 08-09. Stunt number 1, the Portland Trailblazers in the 2000s. Like mentioned earlier, a player can easily fall victim to being labeled a bust because they don't fall into the right situation early enough in their career, and things then all go downhill. It's like that and happens so fast because you have to remember, the NBA has tons of other options. There's 60 picks every year in the draft. A player that doesn't start to produce on his potential early enough may not get another opportunity. Landing with the wrong team, coach, or system in the NBA can mean an outcome like Rudy Fernandez, out after his first contract. For some reason, I always wondered why this player or that player didn't succeed after going to Portland. Most notable, Sebastian Telfair, Jared Bayless, and Rudy Fernandez. Portland, throughout the 2000s, were one of the NBA's most disappointing teams. They would have winning seasons too, winning at least 50 or more games 4 times in the decade and eliminated in the first round every time. Then they got Brandon Roy in 2006 and were dedicated to making him their in-house superstar for the rest of his career. Everything was built around Roy, and as a guard, if you didn't complement his ball-dominant game, able to play both guard positions, you didn't last. Good players like Bayless and Fernandez. Rudy, playing the same position as Roy, came off the bench each of his 3 seasons in Portland. Plays were rarely called for him outside backdoor lobs, or he'd have to get his on spot-ups and fast breaks. For a player with Rudy's ball-dominant and used to being the star player background, this was a first for him, and an adjustment he struggled with early and never found his track. Stunt number 2, declining play. When Rudy Fernandez was being courted by the NBA, he was still under contract with his Spanish club, but because he was assured by the Blazers he would be an important part of their team, he agreed to a buyout. But upon getting to the US and his new team, things weren't going as planned beginning early in his second season. Coming off an all-rookie first year where he averaged 10 points in 25 minutes per, shooting 39% from 3, his second season was much different and very disappointing for Portland and Rudy. December 2009, months into the season, Fernandez injured his back and had to have surgery for a herniated disc that was also causing pain in his legs. For an athlete like Rudy, this was a huge setback. He finished the year with declining numbers all across the board, and most importantly, his minutes and opportunity declined as well. In August 2010, he was fined for conduct detrimental to the team when his agent at the time publicly requested a trade on Rudy's behalf. Already with a sour taste in their mouths, Portland kept him the entire season, where he played 78 games and in that time never looked like he was getting better or had the chance to reach his expected potential. 8.6 points a game, pretty much nothing else, and shooting a career-low 32% from 3, a number that declined for the 3rd year in a row. He was traded to the Mavericks, never played a game, then to the Denver Nuggets. Stunt number 3, injury changed his career. In now his 4th year in the league, Fernandez has enjoyed one semi-successful season, his rookie year. But after, he had 3 years to prove he deserved to play in the NBA. Portland was done after 3 and traded him to the Mavs, who passed him to Denver. In a rebuild year after Carmelo left for New York, Rudy could have came in and made a name for himself. During the 11-12 season, his first with the Nuggets, he injured his back once again and was ruled out after 31 games, expected to have season-ending back surgery. Before the injury, sadly, Fernandez was still declining, while some of his stats stayed discouragingly the same, like rebounding and assists. He was also getting a career-low 23 minutes per game, leading to the same 8.6 points he averaged the year before. July 2012, months after the injury, Rudy announced he will not return to the NBA, instead signing with Real Madrid on a 3-year deal. He became a 6-time Liga ACB and 3-time EuroLeague champion, fitting right back in where he left off as one of the best players in the European game and of his generation. Unfortunately, he couldn't find the same success and health in the NBA. All in all, Rudy Fernandez at least got a shot. I think sometimes we underestimate how hard it is to compete for a job in the league. He made it there and had his moments in the sun too. But for these reasons, his growth and potential was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth, and I'm out.